You're looking to buy a home. You don't know where to start. You go on Google, you type in mortgage lenders, a lot of different options come up. How are you supposed to know what's the difference between them? Which one should I go with? Which will be better for my situation? Well, my name is Seroter. I've been a mortgage loan originator for 23 years now, and I've worked at all the different types of mortgage lenders that are out there over my career so far. So I feel like I have a deep understanding of what the pros and the cons of each of these different lenders are. So purpose of this video is kind of discuss what are the different types of mortgage lenders that are out there and what are the pros and cons of each. So let's take a look here and see. So first here, let's take a look and say, what are the different types of mortgage lenders? The first one is a bank or credit union. These are on every street corner. That's part of the benefit of working with a bank or a credit union. There's name recognition. Oftentimes, this may be a company that you've worked with. Maybe you've had a bank account with them. Maybe you've had a loan with them in the past for an auto or a personal loan or credit card, and people feel comfortable with a lot of these banks. So that's, kind of a pro of having them, and they're often local and convenient. You can walk in there from 9 to 5 and talk to a human. They have very low interest rates. That's one of the big advantages of banks and credit unions. They typically have some of the best rates around, especially on jumbo loans. Jumbo loans are where banks and credit unions are uber competitive. They have a large product suite. Like I mentioned, you might have had a car loan or a credit card with a bank or credit union in the past. You can pretty much have a one-stop shop at a bank or credit union for everything you might need as far as loans go. Cons? Well, the fact that they're open 9 to 5, I think, is a big con. Often some of these banks aren't even open that these days, but if you have a situation that comes up outside of regular business hours, then you're not going to be able to talk to somebody. And if you're buying a home and, typically weekends or evenings is when people need to talk, it can be very inconvenient. So that's another con here I'm listing, that for purchase loans, I do not believe a bank or credit union is really going to be your best option, for the fact alone that it's going to be really difficult to reach that person when things come up outside of regular hours. Banks also have higher fees. They typically will have an origination fee that's 1%, plus they have underwriting and processing fees that they charge. So typically the fees are pretty high at a bank. Also, you're going to have a slower process of getting a loan approved there. It's kind of on their timeline, and you're going to be subject to that. It's not like some of the other lenders where it's real competitive on how quick they can get it done. With the bank, you're going to get a low rate, but you're going to sit there and wait for it. Also, I think another con to a bank or credit union is the fact that they do have more restrictive underwriting. A lot of times they're going to have higher credit score requirements than you're going to get with other lender options. So that's a negative. And also the loan officer or loan originators that are in a bank or credit union, they are actually not licensed. So they don't have to pass an exam, study for it, and renew it every year. They get an automatic license through a federal designation because they work at a bank or credit union. So literally someone could plug in tomorrow and become a loan officer. So I think that's a negative to a consumer. You're going to get a less experienced type of person possibly with them. Next one here would be the retail lenders or call centers. Typically, they're also going to have name recognition. You might have stadiums named after them, commercials that you see, things like that. These are brands that have large product suites. Typically what consumers need, they have. They're going to have a fast process to get your loan. The loan officers that work there are going to be licensed. They pass the exam. They're typically experienced or more experienced types of folk. And retail lenders and call centers, because they charge the most, they have great technology. Typically their app and their website and everything is going to be kind of the best that's out there. They really invest a lot into those things because they're doing a lot of marketing. So if somebody lands on their website, they want to woo them and be able to get them into their network. The cons, clear to me, is their higher interest rates. If you understand economics or you're just living life these days, you know that it costs money to operate a building, to hire employees, to have stadiums named after you, have commercials. It's not free. And the rates absolutely reflect that. Some of the biggest names out there have the worst pricing that you could get. So, it's kind of a trade-off. You might feel comfortable with them and recognize their name and love their website, but definitely not getting the best deal that's out there. Also, the fees are higher than you're going to get with some other sources, and the companies typically are going to have overlays. And what that means is that with different loan programs, there's going to be guidelines with them. And those guidelines might say, for instance, a minimum credit score of 580. Well, a retail lender may come in there and say, well, our requirement's 600. And that's called an overlay, an additional guideline they place on top. So those companies are typically going to have overlays to protect themselves. And then the last con, and this is a big one in my eyes, especially for the call center types of retail lenders, they have very high pressure sales. Because their rates and fees are high, they don't want you shopping around. Those folks are going to do whatever it takes to get you to lock an interest rate with them and start the process and hound you throughout it so you don't go anywhere. So that's a negative in my eyes. As a consumer, I don't like to be treated that way. But, you're kind of going to get that if you want ease, convenience. That's kind of what goes with these types of lenders. So in my opinion, that's a con. All right. And then what we've got for the last option, and one I'm very fond of, because over my career now, here I am ending up as a mortgage broker. And I'll talk to you a little bit more why I've selected that at this point in my career. But there's some definite advantages of working with a mortgage broker compared to these other different types of lenders. You're going to get a professional licensed loan originator. You're going to have someone who's in a local market. These are independent folks that are able to write loans through a network of lenders that they work with. I work for one of the largest mortgage brokerages in the country, Barrett Financial Group. I've got nearly 200 lenders that I can send loans through. It's truly based on whatever my client needs, whatever their unique situation is, I can meet it. That is a huge advantage. In addition, you're going to have no lender fees with a mortgage broker. It's definitely the least expensive option to get your loan. And it's going to be the fastest process. I know I mentioned how retail lenders and call centers have great technology. These wholesale lenders do too. And the way that they view a mortgage broker is we're their customer and they really want us to send our business to them. So the level of service that a mortgage broker gets from these lenders is far superior than you get working inside of a lender itself. I've worked at some of the biggest lenders out there, big names you definitely would recognize. And when you put a loan in process, you are going to do what they say. It's going to be at their timeline. It's not based on what's best for the borrower or meeting a certain deadline. It's going to be based on their timeline because you're just throwing it into a conveyor belt and your loan's going to get done when it gets done. So as a mortgage broker, that's definitely not the case because it's personalized service. I've had clients I've literally had their loan done inside of a week. So it's much easier, much faster. You're going to get personalized service. A con, name recognition. Like I mentioned, mortgage brokers are individuals. You're not going to have some big company that's doing commercials and all over TV and naming stadiums after them. It doesn't work that way. Because we're wholesale. As a mortgage broker, we have all of our costs on ourselves. I mentioned that. Overhead costs for a mortgage broker are a bit of a negative because we're independent folks. Things like credit reports might get passed along to the consumer to pay for. They're very expensive these days, and we just don't have the budgets to be able to do it like some of these big, huge conglomerates do. And then the last con, I believe, is because a mortgage broker is independent, you're not going to kind of have that chain to go up if something was to go awry with your loan. Whereas if you work at, one of the big box lenders, big call centers, if something goes wrong, you can escalate it up the chain. That doesn't mean you're going to get anywhere, but you can at least do that. With a mortgage broker, typically it's going to stop and end right there. If that broker doesn't get the loan done, you're not going to go complain to his manager and get anywhere. It doesn't work like that. So your experience is really dependent on the quality and the experience of the broker that you work with. So I really do recommend that you take a referral, look online, look at reviews. If you find a good mortgage broker out there, you're going to get the very best terms on mortgage loans, in my opinion. Thank you so much for staying with me today. I hope you got some value out of this video. Please give me a like and subscribe and shoot me a DM if there's anything that I can do. I want to leave you my contact information here. If there's anything that you need, I am available to discuss possible loan options with you, compare any quotes you might have received to see if there's any better out there. Or if you've been denied for a loan, you might want to talk about it. Maybe because I have other options, I can help you where the other lender couldn't. So thanks again. Hope you have a wonderful day.